Hi, and welcome back to the Forgive Yourself podcast. Have you ever caught yourself saying, I'm sorry, when you really didn't need to? Maybe you found yourself apologizing for asking a question, for taking up space, or even for something that wasn't your fault at all. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. Today, we're diving into the habit of over-apologizing, especially among us women, and how we can change it. We're going to explore the history behind this habit, why we do it, and most importantly, how to stop saying sorry when it's not needed at all. So if you have ever felt guilty for just existing, this episode is for you. Hi, I'm Brenda Reese, freedom and forgiveness coach, and a person just like you that is learning to navigate life and all of its challenges. I teach a forgiveness process like no other. It's a blend of practical and spiritual forgiveness. This process guides you into knowing how unforgiveness can be keeping you stuck in your relationships, both personally and professionally, and how it prevents you from releasing resentment and finding joy. Each week, I share practical and some not so practical tips, tools, and advice from myself and other people that are on this journey just like us. This is for you if you are ready to turn your pain into peace. Welcome to the Forgive Yourself podcast. So, why do we as women apologize so much? It's not just a part of our personalities. It's actually a habit that's rooted deeply in our societal conditioning, not just familial conditioning, societal. For generations, women have been taught to be agreeable, accommodating, and I dare say it, passive. We've been conditioned to believe that taking up space, expressing opinions, or asserting our needs might be seen as too much. Even history tells us this. So let's take a little trip back. Victorian era, women were seen as delicate, moral guardians of the household, expected to be modest, gentle, and yes, apologetic. Post-World War II, women had taken on strong roles during this war, but once it was over, society encouraged them to go back home. The idea of the submissive housewife reinforced the need to be accommodating rather than assertive. And now we go a little bit more modern day. Media still plays into this. In the movies, TV shows, even commercials, women are often portrayed as softer, more apologetic, or hesitant in their communication. Now they're getting better, but it still is there. So look, let's be real. If a woman is assertive, she's often labeled as aggressive. Meanwhile, a man behaving the same way is considered confident or strong. No wonder we hesitate before speaking up. So, what's actually happening in our minds when we say, I'm sorry too much? A lot of it comes down to self-esteem, people-pleasing, and fear of negative labels. Now, psychologists say that over-apologizing is linked to one, low self-esteem. If we were raised to believe we should be seen and not heard, and a lot of us have, we may subconsciously think we don't deserve to take up space. Anybody relate to that? Number two, a fear of conflict. Apologizing can be a way to avoid confrontation, or I like to say, not making waves. That was me. Do anything to not make waves, because that got me into trouble. And number three is people pleasing. Saying sorry makes us feel accepted. But at what cost? So let's look at some examples. So picture this. You're in a work meeting and you want to share an idea. Instead of confidently saying, hey, I have a suggestion, you find yourself saying, sorry, but I was thinking, well, maybe we could try this. Okay, did you hear that? I'm sorry, the hesitation. But that immediately downplays your idea before you even get it out. Now, Another example you can relate to, I know we all can, is walking in the grocery store. Someone bumps into us. And what do we say? Oh, I'm sorry. Even though we're not at fault. Right? Or somebody's standing there and you walk in front of them. Oh, I'm sorry. And it's like, what? What did we do? Nothing. It's so automatic that we don't even realize we're doing it. So now, what's actually the problem with over apologizing? Because, it seems polite, right? Well, it's actually hurting us. One, it diminishes our confidence. If you keep apologizing, you reinforce the idea that you're at fault when you're not. And our brain is always listening. It believes us. Number two, it affects how others see us. Apologies make us seem unsure of ourselves, and that can impact how people respond to us, whether in the workplace or relationships. I always like this. We teach people how to treat us. So apologies can make us seem unsure of ourselves. I mean, even Hallmark has brought this concept up in a couple of their movies. I like watching Hallmark for some downtime because, it's always predictable. Anyway, I digress. Okay. So back to Hallmark. This one particular movie that I was watching, there was a woman who wanted a certain businessman's attention to invest in something that was important to her. And she tracks him down and shows up at a restaurant where he was eating at alone. So she walks up to him, right? And he kind of looks up at her and she's like, well, I'm really sorry and excuse me for, being here, and just all hesitant. And she apologizes several times. And he finally looks at her and says, are you done apologizing? It was great because she took pause for this moment. And then all of a sudden she stood up straighter and she goes, why, yes, I am. And then he says, okay, have a seat, and we can talk. Okay. So, I mean, even that is showing up in Hallmark movies. So, think of that. All right. Number 3, it's exhausting. Constantly feeling like you have to shrink yourself is mentally draining. Well, it's not even mentally, it's emotionally draining too. And the scariest part, over apologizing can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. The more we do it, the more we believe we're always in the wrong. Because remember, our brain is keeping track. It's listening to us. That's why it's time to break the cycle. So now that we know the why of why we do this, let's talk about how to stop doing this. Step number 1 is to build awareness. Noticing, right? We can't change something we don't know is there. And if we're doing it automatically, we got to create some awareness. So start noticing how often you say, I'm sorry. Now, the best way to notice how often we do anything is to write it down. So keep a journal or notes on your phone just for a few days. I encourage you to do this. Write down when and why you apologize. It's important to capture both when and why. Okay? Then you can change it. Step number 2, replace I'm sorry with something else. Okay. Instead of, sorry for interrupting, say, excuse me. Instead of, oh, sorry to bother you, say, do you have a moment? Instead of, sorry, but I think, say, I believe. Instead of, oh, sorry for the late response, say, thank you for your patience. See how empowering that is? Instead of, sorry I'm late, say, thank you for waiting. Now these, when you practice them, really help you feel more confident. You're not giving away your power then. When we say, I'm sorry, and we haven't done anything wrong, we're only going to apologize when we've done something wrong. Then it's really important because it brings the power back to us. It brings us, these are kind of codependent tendencies, always trying to explain ourselves, always wanting someone to understand. When do they need to? No, they don't. Okay. Step number 3, practice assertiveness. So in this case, you can role play with a friend or practice in the mirror because repetition is how we remember things. And practicing for a conversation or those certain responses like we just talked about, that we want to change is how we are going to learn to change them. Building up our muscle of assertiveness, of owning our power, of knowing that we are allowed to take up space, knowing that we are worth it. Because remember, assertive does not mean aggressive. It is okay to take up space. And step number 4, surround yourself with support. Always, always, always. Talk to friends or mentors about this. I bet you if you start this conversation with friends, it's going to be great. Because I've started talking with some friends of mine and it makes a huge difference. And also too, find role models for yourself who embody the confident, unapologetic communication that you want to replace the old apologetic language with. The goal isn't to never apologize. It's to only apologize when it's truly necessary, because there's a big difference between saying sorry for hurting someone and saying sorry for just existing. It's powerful. So here's your takeaway. You do not have to apologize for taking up space. Years ago, I was working with a medical intuitive on some health issues that I was having in my second chakra area, not only just my low back, but in my whole chakra area, which if you don't know where that's located, it's in your abdomen area below your belly button. And it's an important energy center for us. And one of the exercises she gave me to do, this is years ago, was to stomp my feet every morning, stomp my feet and say, I deserve to be here and take up space. It was empowering. Keep in mind, breaking the habit of over-apologizing takes practice, but it's one of the most empowering changes you can make. Just the simple shift from I'm sorry to excuse me, or from I'm sorry to I believe, can transform not only how others see you, but how you see yourself. I encourage you to start paying attention to how often you apologize this week. And if you catch yourself doing it unnecessarily, pause. Take a deep breath and then remind yourself you belong here and your voice matters. Thank you so much for joining me today. If this episode resonated with you, share it with a friend who might need to hear it. And don't forget, subscribe to the Forgive Yourself podcast so you never miss an episode. Until next time, be kind to yourself and remember, you are worthy just as you are, and you deserve to take up space. Take care. Thank you so much for listening today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did enjoy it, would you do me a favor and share this episode and then follow us on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss one episode of the Forgive Yourself podcast, where every Friday you will get tips, tools, and stories so that you can turn your pain into peace. Take care.